every single time when I get too busy, and it happens periodically, and I just publish, but I don't really engage that much because I'm just too busy. So I post my thing and I kind of peace out. That's always when my engagement drops. There's people like Adam Robinson who drive incredible growth off of it, but he spends a ton of time on it, hours and hours and hours every week. Plus, he invests, I think, over $20,000 per month between contractors and freelancers and equipment into his personal brand. There is good and bad content, and you got to have a high bar for yourself of what you put out. And it shouldn't be, oh, this other person posted something and it went viral, therefore that's good content, therefore I should copy that. People who do really well, they just do the basics really well. And I think the basics are try to add value, engage with other people's content, try to be yourself. Don't try to just copy someone else. All right, before we dive in, you're listening to the Executive Brand Podcast with me, your host, Thormeier. Each week, I sit down with top B2B CEOs, executive, and founders to break down their playbooks. If you've not yet, it would really help if you subscribe or follow the show because it helps us get on better guests and create better content for you guys. All right, let's dive in.
Today, I'm happy to be joined by someone that I've been following very closely for 5 to 6 years at this point. He was actually part of the inspiration for me starting SteadyRev and going into business on my own in this space of LinkedIn and just helping people understand the platform. So I owe him a debt of gratitude. I enjoy his content. I'm always watching and following and seeing what he's up to. He's the founder and CEO of Project 33, working with founders and CEOs to take their authority and expertise and turn that into their competitive advantage through founder-led content. He's also the host of the Founder-Led Marketing Show, talking to the LinkedIn top voices. And when I say top voices, I mean the actual top voices, not just people who get that little badge. He's talking to people like Chris Walker, Adam Robinson, Dave Gerhardt, Galaga, Megan Bowen, and the founder-led content legend himself, Alec Paul, which was a really cool episode to watch. He's also a travel expert, and most importantly, he's a proud father and husband. Welcome, Finn Thormeier, to our little show here.
Thanks for having me.
So glad to have you on as our first guest. It's going to be a hard one to follow up, I'm assuming, for the next person, but that's
I'm
okay.
not so sure about that. I'll set a very low bar for everyone else.
There you go. Yeah, just kind of bring it down a little bit so we can kind of keep having some success with this. But no, that's awesome. Really happy you're joining, and thanks for your time, man. Okay, so for everyone else out there who's watching, whether you're a founder, a CEO, fractional CMO, this session should really help you with direct insights from Finn through his years of working on LinkedIn and building a business in this space. So you're going to learn, why is it important to have founder-led content in the first place? What does it actually do for your business, and how you can go about doing these things the right way. So without further ado, I'll hop into a couple questions.
Let's go.
All right, Finn. So looking back at your interviews over the past few years, with the top founders we were just talking about in the intro, what were like the kind of most eye-opening things that you learned from them? What were some key takeaways that maybe you didn't expect in some of those interviews?
I think the biggest transformation that happened to me is kind of focusing away from hacks and tricks to the fundamentals. And I think people generally over focus on hacks, on little tricks, on what time they should be posting and what length and character amount their LinkedIn post should have, and whether they should attach a carousel file or a video file or an image file and all these tactical things. And the more I speak to people, the people who do really well, they just do the basics really well. And I think the basics are try to add value, actually engage with people on the platform, meaning reply to your comments, reply to your messages, engage with other people's content, try to be yourself, right? So lean into whatever unique, quirky, specific thing that is to you, right? Some are really great on video, some are really funny and great with memes. Some are really witty. Some just are great at sitting down and breaking down a complex topic in great detail. So lean into that. Don't try to just copy someone else, though that can be a gateway drug to just get into it. But eventually you got to find your own voice and then do it for a long time. I think it's those four things. Like try to add value, engage with others, be yourself, and just keep showing up week after week, day after day, month after month. And you'll wake up 12 to 24 months later and you'll probably have built a pretty sizable audience, and people actually like and trust you if you do those four things. But it's when people
Yep.
think they can shortcut it and just, I don't know, copy others or write some viral post by just saying some controversial thing they don't really believe, or making up random shit that's not actually true, or, create a mediocre infographic or video just because they heard somewhere that you got to do infographics or videos or carousels, even though that doesn't come naturally to them. So I think that's the biggest shift.
So there you go. Do it often, engage, and be yourself. I think those are the
There you
top
go.
three that you just said. So I guess we're done here. Everybody, you can sign off.
Kind
You've learned
of.
everything. But no,
Kind
I
of.
mean it to and I joke, but that really is like those are the main three things. And the two biggest ones there, I mean, they're all the biggest ones, but two that I want to focus on because being yourself is very specific to each person. But the main two there are the engaging, which I had as a question later on, that I was going to ask you, but let's hop into that now because that is the one that I am having conversations with people the most about. It's not Instagram. It is not I like to say it's not a post and peace out environment. Like you can't just assume that that's going to do it. Um, can you kind of walk us through how you coach clients and how you maybe help support clients in that side of things with engaging and commenting, what you've been talking a lot on LinkedIn about lately, the importance of commenting?
Yeah, I think again there's some amount of coaching that we do, and I'll get in there, but I think the saying of, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. It's true there too, where whether they're a founder, CEO, executive, or whoever it's doing, and if we're working with them or not, they need to just believe that it's important to reply to comments and reply to messages and engage with other relevant people on the platform. If they're just completely like, this is stupid and I hate LinkedIn and I don't see the point of any of that, then no amount of coaching can get them there.
Yeah, those people
Right.
who their marketing team is just forcing them to do it, and they're trying to
Exactly.
just kinda shut them up by doing it and saying it's not working 3 months down the road and just being done with it, right? There's so many of
Exactly.
those.
So that's that. I think, just understanding the importance of it, that, you're building relationships. And I still don't know if it's the actual LinkedIn algorithm and it's causal or it's just correlation. But every single time when I get too busy, and it happens periodically, and I just publish, but I don't really engage that much because I'm just too busy. So I post my thing and I kind of peace out. That's always when my engagement drops. Even though I feel like I'm posting just the same quality of content as before. And as soon as I start prioritizing again and I just make sure that I reply to people and I spend some amount of the platform and writing comments on other people's stuff, that's when it picks up again. So I don't know if that's just literally, if you engage with others, they're more likely to engage with yours, and it's just human psychology and kind of reciprocity. I'm sure there's a lot of that, but I don't know if it's also the literal algorithm that looks at that stuff. I just know it works, so I do it and I tell people to do it. It's also kind of dependent on what you're trying to get out of LinkedIn. Like, because there's no amount of time that's the right amount of time, right? You could be spending 5 minutes, could be spending an hour, you could be spending 4 hours a day engaging with others, right? So it's kind of, and if you spend 4 hours, you'll definitely get more engagement and build more relationships than if you only do it for 30 minutes. But at some point, it's just like, what's the trade off, right? Then I'm neglecting,
Yeah, you
running my
still gotta be a
company.
founder and a
Exactly.
CEO.
So, like for me, what I try to do is basically I try to post and then spend 30 minutes on the platform. So I publish, and then from there, and that includes like going through my notifications, replying to comments on yesterday's post from myself, answering some messages, and then just on my feed engaging with others. Um, we do help customers sometimes curating their feed a little bit. in Sales Navigator, if you build custom lead lists, when you then go to your Sales Navigator home feed, you will see the content by only those people. So it's not an algorithmic feed that recommends you stuff. It's just a chronological feed based on only those people you hand selected. So it can be helpful initially, but it's again just a habit to build. You need to go to a different place every day. I do it, but a lot of people just never learn that skill. And then I
It's
think it's
super
just kind
important.
of, a little bit of nudging around, like, especially technical founders, they have the habit of lurking, right? They are on LinkedIn, they are scrolling, they are reading things. They're just not that doesn't necessarily come natural to them to actually leave their thoughts as a public comment. And so again, just kind of nudging and reminding them, and same there, you just got to find your own voice. Um but yeah.
Yeah, and comment meaningfully, right? Like just yeah, like not great post, not these things that are just what we're seeing with the AI comments, but like actually engaging in that conversation.
Yeah.
Um, which
Though I
is
think I
harder
agree
to
with
do,
that.
but worth it.
I sometimes also just leave comments where I say love it. And I think
Yeah,
it's still gotta
yes,
feel real, right? Like, if you on every single, like, announcement post or whatever, you write a massive block of text, people can also see and feel kind of like, okay, you tried a little too hard to come up
right.
with something thoughtful here. So it's okay to leave short comments. It's just every now and then, 2 or 3 times a day, you probably wanna leave a meaty comment.
Yeah, I think it might be worth noting that like someone like you saying love it, who's built your brand on the platform, who has 40,000 followers, like people know that that's you saying it, right? Whereas someone just starting out, maybe just saying love it all the time or great post all the time, or I agree, those are the best ones. People might start to get a bit skeptical about their engagement and how authentic it is. Would that be a fair?
I don't even think people look at it. It's just like, you're not building much of a relationship with that person because
Yeah,
you're not really engaging. Like, what are they gonna reply to that?
exactly.
Um, and so you're not engaging in a conversation with the poster, with the post, and obviously you're not demonstrating any sort of expertise or insight.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's yeah, it's like a it's almost like just it's another post for you. If you can be on important posts that are getting good traction, if you're there and you're having conversations with people, your face is showing up on other people's feeds that have no idea who you are prior, right?
Sure. I mean, I had a post yesterday, a comment that's now sitting at 130,000 impressions.
Yeah,
A
I just saw
comment that
that.
I made yesterday. I mean, that's by far the biggest one I've seen ever, but I mean, I got a bunch of connection requests from that comment. That comment
That's
got like
amazing.
400 likes, so it definitely works. Obviously that's an outlier.
Yes, of course. But it goes to show that it is important. Um, okay, no, that's awesome. I wanted to chat about that with you around the engagement side because I'm trying to always explain that to clients, to prospects, just around how important that is, right? Okay, let's kind of jump into Project 33 a little bit. I'm curious, like, what was the spark for you? What was the spark that started that venture?
Um, it was by random. So I dropped out of university in Germany because I was just doing it for other people, not for myself, and didn't really know what I was gonna do. Like, literally, whether I would want to start a business or do comedy or acting or um and so I thought, what could I start now before I know what I'm actually gonna do? And I basically decided to just document my journey, kind of the Gary V document, don't create.
I
And
saw that
so,
one New York video that you posted not too long ago, where you're like, "Wow, I just found one of my first videos," and you just posted it like probably a
oh
month or two
yes,
ago.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
that was awesome to see that throwback.
You just made me think I need to repost. I have a video with Gary V from
Yeah,
back then that I should repost. um, but so I literally just I created an Instagram account, Snapchat account, Twitter account, LinkedIn account, YouTube channel, and I just made content about what I was thinking about, who I was meeting. Hey, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about this. I'm trying this out. I was going to networking events. And um, basically, I flew from Germany to New York because I just wanted to get outside of my comfort zone, kept creating content on there, got traction on LinkedIn. Like I wasn't focusing on LinkedIn. I was creating content everywhere. My main platform was actually Instagram back then. Um, Friend told me about LinkedIn, started putting out videos there. It was very early when Microsoft had just bought LinkedIn and they introduced native video. So before that, you couldn't actually upload a video file on LinkedIn. You could only post a link to a YouTube video. And so you just got insane traction with 0 followers. And so I grew pretty quickly and just I didn't even know it was called personal branding. Like I wasn't doing that and I didn't have a service to offer. Um, but two business owners in New York kind of at some point approached me and said, "Hey, this is kind of cool what you're doing with these videos on LinkedIn. Can you help me do that?" And that's when I got together with a friend of mine back then who was ghostwriting. He was freelancing as a ghostwriter and we started a LinkedIn personal branding agency. And we took
Amazing.
on whoever wanted to work with us and whoever would pay us, coach, consultant, solopreneur, artist. We didn't care. And then didn't work out with the co-founder, so I kind of took over the business and the brand and restarted solo, and um, then just kind of narrowed it down more and more and more. That's now B2B SaaS, um, certain stage of company, and only founders and executives.
That's awesome. I love a good origin story, and definitely an organic one like that is always cool. All right. So for those on the call, maybe they are thinking about it for themselves in terms of founder-led content. Maybe they are in marketing and trying to convince their leadership. I know I've been there. Good luck to you, and hopefully this helps. Hopefully they can kind of use some of this to convince those leadership personnel in their companies to kind of adopt this ideology and buy in. But they're skeptical a lot of the time, and very much so around ROI is always
Yeah.
the term you hear the most. So what do you kind of have to say to those people who are skeptical about this strategy, this founder-led approach, from an ROI standpoint?
I honestly, and this is again where it changed perspective over time, I think you can convince someone. Like they either need to see and believe that this makes sense. And if they don't, they don't. And if you need to approach it from an ROI standpoint of how this is going to generate leads for your business in the short term, then you're going to do it wrong and you're going to do it not long enough to actually get ROI. And I think there is certain ways how you can do it where it becomes a lead gen, demand gen engine, but that's a very different kind of time investment than what most people are willing to do, especially initially, and especially if they're getting support from their marketing team or from an external partner. Like there's people like Adam Robinson who drive incredible growth off of it, but he spends a ton of time on it, hours and hours and hours every week. Plus, he invests, I think, over $20,000 per month between contractors and freelancers and equipment into his personal brand.
Yeah,
So, like, if you do all of that, then it can, it can become an incredible lead source. But if you're not willing to do that, I think the right way to think about this is it's brand.
yeah. It's a long game brand investment, right? That's it's always what I'm saying as well. A lot of people don't love to hear it, but wouldn't you rather hear the truth, right, than be 6 months down the road and disappointed? And on that note, on saying 6 months, and you had said earlier, like time, right? Committing to this for a long time is important. What does that look like in your opinion? Like, what do you tell people? Like, hey, this is your minimum commitment that you need to kind of give this if you want to give it an actual shot.
Yeah, I mean, we sign 6-month minimum contracts.
Yeah,
That's
same here.
just because I want to sort out people who want to who see this as a short-term fix for leads or pipeline or whatever. But I think again, the people who are really successful, they do not even think about it in that way. They just believe this makes sense and you just got to do it. And some find early success and some take 18 months for it to click and find success. It's kind of like product market fit, you know? It's kind of like a founder asking, okay, like how many months do I need to try to find product market fit to validate whether this is worth it, whether building a company is a worthwhile process, right? Give me the amount of month. If by then I have not found product market fit, I'm going to go back to being an employee. And like there is no timeline. Some people find it in a month, and some companies pivot for 3 months, for 3 years. Pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot until they eventually find something that works. And then there's different levels of success, right? Like some knock it all the way out of the park. Some, are successful, but not, knock it out of the park, 200 million in revenue after 1 year of being in business, like lovable. Um,
Yeah,
so I don't know. I think if you don't believe this makes sense, then I mean, okay, I'll give you a maybe more specific answer. I did have a call earlier today with a marketing team who was considering it. Obviously, if you're working with a partner like us, you got to evaluate whether there's just match in terms of, you know, can you work well together with that partner? Um, but I would say our customers who stay around for the long term, and we have customers who've been with us for over 2 years, usually within the first 3 to 6 months, it becomes obvious that this is a worthwhile activity. And this is qualitative, right? Because there's no dollar amount that equates to worthwhile activity, right? It might be one great demo that came in because of this. It might be five, depending on your ACV. It might just be that your CEO went to a conference and 7 different prospects told them that they really enjoy their content. You know, it might be that it's a partner who says, I'm forwarding your videos, to our sales team so that they can sell the solution back. Right? Like it can be a DM by someone or multiple DMs. There's no quantitative amount of anything that I can give you that's objectively the right thing, because it also just depends on your ACV and all of those things. But for the companies that stick around long term with us, within the first 3 to 6 months, it becomes obvious that this is a worthwhile activity.
I really like that answer. I mean, we're very aligned in how we approach that and think about that. Yeah, and like as you said, it's really important. If you don't believe in this as a viable solution and a benefit to your company overall, then it's probably not going to work out for you because A, you're not going to give it the attention it deserves, um, and B, you're not going to see the success that's there, that's not quantitative, as you said. You're not going to be paying attention and kind of privy to that. Um, Very good. Okay, and maybe that kind of dovetails into this. What are the biggest mistakes that you're seeing founders make when trying to lead content themselves, especially those who may not have content or social media experience in the past?
Meaning when they write it themselves.
Yeah, when they're trying to handle this themselves. So let's take like a bootstrapped, SaaS founder who is like, "Hey, I can't hire marketing. I can't even afford an agency right now. I believe in this. I'm gonna try and do it myself."
Yeah. I think I think one that we kind of just touched on is that just unrealistic expectations, right? They think that, they can do it for a month and put out 7 posts and somehow magically one of them should go viral, or it should generate three inbound demos from VPs at target accounts. And that's not going to happen. So obviously if you have that expectation, then you just quit after 1 month. Um, I think if you are kind of understand that this will take some time to figure out, I think there's one just there's a certain mindset, and I can't quite put it into words, but it's the false belief, in my opinion, that when it comes to content, there is no objective good or bad content, and that it's all kind of random, and that you just have to post something that maybe already went viral for someone else and kind of tweak it a little bit and post it yourself, and that's how you find virality or traction, which is a false belief. And I do think content is the driver. The if if you're trying to grow, then the content that you put out is the product, and the product has to be good. Now there's different ways to be good, right? It can be deeply insightful and something that, VP reads and can implement or forward to their team. It could be something that's just super funny that makes a lot of people laugh. It could be just super relatable, that it's empowering and people read it and it's a story and they feel great and they want to like immediately do more or do something else, right? There's different ways of good, but there is good and bad content. And you got to have a high bar for yourself of what you put out. And it shouldn't be, oh, this other person posted something and it went viral, therefore that's good content, therefore I should copy that. Versus, okay, I want to attract VPs of engineering at mid-market fintech companies. You should have a reasonable understanding of what they care about. And then, when you write something, just ask yourself, would the VP of engineering at this company, like a real person with a real name whose face I can imagine in my head, would they find this interesting or valuable, want to forward it to someone? And if the answer is no, then don't put it out, right? Um, so so it's that. And then I would say the second thing is just not dedicating enough time to it, um, which is either the hey, I don't really have time to probably sit down and think of something and write it or, work with someone who can coach me through it and flesh something out. And I'll just feed something to ChatGPT to write me something. Obviously, that's not
Yeah,
going to work. That's kind of the first thing that we just discussed. But then, as I said, the commenting, right? Like if you don't understand, then you need to be active on the platform. And so I don't know, you find the time to write your 3 posts, and those 3 posts are actually kind of good because you care about it and you think it matters that you put out good stuff based on your own internal, quality bar. But then you don't make the time to reply to your comments or your messages or engage with other people, then same thing. It's just gonna be really, really hard to get traction.
exactly. No, that's great. Um, Speaking of traction, we kind of touched on the algorithm a little bit already, but with reach obviously declining, there is no question that reach has declined pretty drastically in 2025. And we assume it's the algorithm, and we assume, well, it's hard to assume anything and know that you might be onto something because everything's always changing. But with video, especially, not performing like it did 2 years ago, or even a year ago, what have you kind of seen, or what are you coaching people to do in terms of the types of content they're putting out? Maybe video was like their bread and butter, but now they're experiencing crazy low numbers in terms of impressions and things like that. Doing the same thing that was working before. How are you kind of helping people through that and guiding them as to what to do with their content?
So we like my company, we only support text and video content. And that's the only real type of content I actually, and images. I sometimes post a picture of myself or something or a screenshot. I do that a lot. I don't ever do carousels or infographics. Um, Honestly, I think everything still works. There is people who crush with video only. Lenny, I never can pronounce his last name right, but Lenny's newsletter and podcast. He's
Okay.
massive. He basically only does video, crushes it, both horizontal and vertical video. There's people who crush with infographics. There's people who crush with carousels. There's people who crush with text only. So I think everything works. It's just kind of you got to find what works for you and what resonates with you and what kind of style comes natural to you. And then you just got to make it good. Right, like an infographic doesn't work because it's an infographic, but because it's
Right.
a great infographic.
Yeah.
And
It's got that info in it.
well,
That's
and you
important too.
picked a great way to visualize the information. Like that is a skill. I interviewed Peter Walker on my podcast, who's the head of insights at Carta, who people should follow, and he does these infographics visualizing the proprietary data that Carta has. Um, and he spends 2-3 hours on one infographic, and that's because you need to decide what data is actually interesting to visualize, because if you just kind of confirm what everyone already knows, that can sometimes work, but usually there needs to be something surprising in the data. And then there's many ways how you can visualize any data set, right? It could be a bar chart, it could be a like circle chart, or I don't know all the names, but there's a million different chart formats that you can use, and that matters actually. Like if you want to have a great infographic, it needs to be well done. Um, Same with
I am
carousels.
not good at that.
Neither, right? Same with videos. Videos, like there's different ways of being well done. I think well done could either mean you're just super charismatic and you're great on video and you look amazing, so that just catches people, right? Good looking people do better. It's just a fact. Um, Maybe you are really great at highly produced videos and there's just crazy, cool, interesting transitions and B-roll and all of that, like well done. Or there's just interesting data that you walk through where you need a video because it's a screen share and you want to show people on the screen. That's just not possible to capture in a text only post. But there needs to be a reason why there's a video. And so I think I love video just because I think that you just build a different level of trust. Um, But, I mean, if people hate video, they shouldn't do video. If they're bad at video, they shouldn't do video. They don't have to do video. If you love video and you're great at video, you can still crush with video, even with the algorithm being wonky about that. So,
Man, that's such simple advice, but so good. Like if you don't like doing it, don't do it, right? And I feel like that is such a thing that people struggle with when it comes to starting doing content on LinkedIn. Like, oh, I'm not a great writer. So okay, then don't do the writing, right? Like bring someone on who can capture that for you. Get the writing down on paper and get it out there. If you're not good at video and you hate being on video, then don't do it. It's such simple advice, but I think if people can kind of just grab that and know I don't have to do it all. I can focus in my lane and stay where I'm comfortable and still find success with the strategy.
for sure.
That's
Matter
a
of fact,
powerful
I would
takeaway.
say most of the people who do well, they do really well with one format and not others. Like there's very few people who have a video on Monday and then an infographic on Tuesday and then a text only post on Wednesday, and then a selfie on Thursday, and they crush across all of those different formats. Usually they're known for one format and they get really good at it. And then sometimes they might have something else, but you know,
Yeah. Yeah, for me personally, it's like I focus on the text posts and then I'll sprinkle in a video, like you said, if it makes sense. Like if I'm on a podcast or, I'm kind of having a conversation with someone, there's a really good clip that I feel could resonate with somebody. But I'm not out there trying to create the best video ever. And I'm certainly not creating the best infographics or carousels. That is not my forte. So yeah, it's knowing your lane, sprinkling in some other formats here and there just to keep things a bit fresh, so it's not boring all the time. For people who don't maybe want to always be reading full posts. But yeah, no, that's really good advice.
I don't think you need to do it for other people. I think the only thing you
That's a
might
good
want to
point.
do it for yourself. If you get bored, then try something else. But if you do one video every 10th post and someone only watches videos, they're still not going to follow you, right? So I don't think sprinkling that in for that reason is
That's
necessary.
yeah, that's a good point. Now actually interesting. Would you have said that when you were sub 10,000 followers? Now you're at like 41. Like, has that mentality shifted for you because of the growth that you've seen?
I think if I would start today from zero, I would still only focus on the formats that like work for me, which is also mostly text. And then sometimes I have a video because I want to screen share something, or I have a podcast guest and they make a cool point and I want to share their point of view, or attach a screenshot if I have a screenshot that I want to talk about. But I don't think, yeah, I don't think I would do it differently if I would start from zero today.
Awesome. Yeah, just going back to that authenticity piece, right? If it's not authentically you, then don't lean into that. Awesome. Okay. All right, maybe we'll just leave everyone with this one. Maybe there's a founder listening right now or a marketing person trying to, talk to their founders about this type of stuff. Um, if that was you, if you were a founder listening right now and, you wanted to decide to give this a shot, a real shot, dive in 2026. We're quickly coming up on that. What actionable steps would you say they should take between now and starting?
Mm, I think it's probably always useful to first try to do it yourself. And I think I would probably just set a posting goal. Um, and I think anything from 2 posts per week and upwards can work. You just gotta be, honest with yourself about like kind of what growth trajectory you expect, because obviously if you post twice a week versus 5 times a week, that's a lot less. But I think just pick a number, 2, 3, 4, and that's your weekly goal. Every week you gotta post 2 or 3 or 4 things. Um, and and then just save 30 minutes after you publish whatever you wrote or came up with to engage. Reply to comments, reply to messages, engage with 3, 4, 5 other people on the platform. Just start with that. And then be honest with yourself of whether you're able to stick to that, whether you enjoy it. Um, and if you don't, or there's certain places where you struggle, whether it's with accountability or the writing or the video part, then you can get external help or someone on your marketing team to help you with that piece of it. Um, I think, I mean, I'm obviously self-interested here, but I think as for many things, it can be helpful for accountability and just for speed of learning to get kind of like a coach or an external partner to just help you get set up if you have the budget to pay for that. Um, and I think that's it. I think how some people on the podcast who I've had on eased into it is by just starting to comment before they start publishing. So if you're scared to do it, or I don't know, you feel like people will not care, then just set a goal of commenting every day.
That's really good advice. Get comfortable on the platform, right?
You know, and
Awesome.
then
Yeah,
and then
no,
go from
that's
there.
that's really good.
Again, I'd keep it simple, like I don't know. You there's a lot of hacks, but again, if you believe this is important and you understand that it will take time to figure out and you committed to the process and hopefully you actually enjoy, which is another commonality between those people who are actually successful. You enjoy sharing thoughts, sharing ideas, sharing your expertise. Doesn't mean you have to post a selfie with your children or what you ate for lunch yesterday, but teaching, like talk about what's going on, what you're seeing, what you're learning, learn from others, read what they're up to and what they're doing and what they're experimenting with. If you
Yep,
enjoy that, then that will go a long way.
amazing. Couldn't agree more. All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming on today.
All right, this podcast is brought to you by Project 33. Project 33 is the leading executive thought leadership agency for LinkedIn. If you're looking to activate your founder, your CEO, your executives, or any of your internal subject matter experts and create thought leadership content for them to build trust and credibility for your brand, reach out at project33.io.